You are listening to a special edition of the Central Indiana Sports Report, our preview of the Class 4A Sectional 20 championship game between the Lebanon Tigers and the Logansport Berries, with special guest Will Willems of the Lebanon Reporter. Welcome to this special edition of the Central Indiana Sports Report with myself, your host Greg Mengel, and Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader sports editor Michelle Garmon, our Class 5A Sectional 20 preview between the Lebanon Tigers and the Logansport Berries. Coming up, we'll be joined by Lebanon Reporter sports editor Will Willems to discuss Friday's sectional championship game at Logansport. Then Michelle and I will make our game predictions. Before we get to all of that, I just want to let you know what's going on at the Central Indiana Sports Report. First of all, we have 8 sectional championship previews. Please go check out one of the other ones after you finish listening to this one. Those will all be released early Friday morning. Also on Thursday, we released our preview and prediction show for every sectional in Central Indiana. On Friday evening, we will have our sectional championship scoreboard show with scores and highlights from across Indiana. Also this weekend, it's going to be a very, very busy weekend with IU basketball and football, Purdue basketball and football, the Colts, and our college football preview show with Eric and Ryan Robinson. If you like the podcast and you like what we're doing, please do us a huge favor and click the like button. Every time someone hits the like button, our podcast platforms, including YouTube, spread it to others who may be interested in listening to our podcast. Also, please consider subscribing at Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Audible, or SoundCloud so you don't miss any of the fun. Also, basketball season is right around the corner. We'll have our boys and girls basketball scoreboard shows multiple times a week, starting next week. Let's look at the Tigers and the Berries, starting with Logansport. Logansport enters the sectional at 8-3. They started the season 5-0 and have been just 500 since, going 3-3. But the first loss was 22-14 at Hamilton Heights. The next two were both by 1 point on the road, one of those in overtime. And they've bounced back with wins over defending sectional champion Huntington North 15-12 and upstart Muncie Central 31-24 to reach the championship game. Logansport has 4 strong running backs behind junior quarterback Bryson Herr. Senior Chris Anthony DeValle has exactly 1,000 yards on the year and has scored 14 times. With another couple games, he might be joined in the 1,000-yard club by sophomore Elliot Baldini. He has also scored 14 touchdowns. Almost 75% of the Berries' offensive production comes on the ground. Logan's defense is loaded with talent, including junior Lauren Taylor, who has 41 tackles, 11 quarterback sacks, 16 more tackles for loss, and has blocked 3 kicks this year. Senior Caden Walker, who has 559 rushing yards, is third in the state with 8 interceptions and also has a fumble recovery. Logan hasn't been able to win a sectional championship since 2020, 22-14 over Culver Academy when they went north for their sectionals. That was the Berries' first sectional crown in 16 years. Before that, it had been 16 years since the previous one. Lebanon lost its season opener 22-14 at Pendleton Heights. Little did we know that both teams were about to have huge seasons. Both teams have lost just once since, the Tigers 26-7 against Harrison in the regular season finale. Since then, they won at Culver Academy 39-19 and beat winless Frankfort at home 48-6 to advance to the sectional championship. Under first-year head coach Josh Yoder, the Tigers' offense has been explosive at 33 points per game. They're led by junior Chris Hill, who's thrown for 1,555 yards and 15 touchdowns, and run for another 548 yards and 5 more scores. Hill's favorite target is junior Tana Mondon, who's got 46 of his passes for 617 yards and 9 touchdowns. Senior Josh Parks went over 1,000 yards rushing last week and also leads the Tigers with 12 touchdowns. The Lebanon defense is led by senior Caden Gates, who has 85 tackles and 6 tackles for loss. Please stay tuned for Will Willems. Then Michelle and I will be back at the end of the podcast to make our predictions. We continue our preview of Sectional 20, and we're joined with Lebanon Reporter, sports editor Will Willems, who is here to preview the Sectional 20 championship between Lebanon and Logansport. And Will, should be a good one. It's been a long time coming for Lebanon.
These two teams met last year, and it was a really close, competitive game. Lebanon eked out a 7-point win, but obviously the stakes are a little bit higher. It's 1 week later in the year, and it's been a long time, almost 30 years for Lebanon. The last time they won a sectional was the only time they've won a sectional in 1997. So they're hoping that the trip up to Logansport on Friday night is pretty fruitful for them.
Are Lebanon pretty healthy and everything? Do you get a good sense that they're healthy and locked in for Friday night's game?
They got the benefit of playing a Frankfurt team last week who's been struggled a little bit this year. So their starters only played about a quarter on last Friday night, and they got them out of there. They have their kind of normal bumps and bruises that you would expect 11 games into a season. They're pretty healthy and ready to go.
First year under head coach Josh Yoder, what do you think he's brought to this program that's made this year so successful?
He's done a really good job of just kind of installing like a kind of discipline and work ethic within the group. It was there before, but they always were just kind of missing that little edge that kind of put them over the edge. And it was one of those things that in a close game, more times than not, they would find a way to not pull it out. This year, it's been the opposite. When they get in these close games, they find ways to make plays. They believe that they're going to win. And that really just comes down, I think, to coaching and just kind of changing that mindset a little bit. He was a longtime assistant at Brownsburg and kind of saw that program rise to now where they're one of the top programs in the state. Was the defensive coordinator at Lebanon last year and then took over the head job. So the kids were very familiar with him, and he's done a really good job of getting the kids to buy into what they want to do as a program, and they're executing it on the field.
How do you think they match up? What areas do you think Lebanon has an advantage in when they face off on Friday?
I think kind of looking at schedule-wise, Lebanon's played a competitive schedule, and I think that they have played some big teams that have kind of gotten them ready for what Logansport can bring. They're expecting a really close competitive game. They know that Logansport is extremely talented, especially with the way they run the ball. Lebanon players and coaches this week kind of compared them to Danville, who they saw about a month ago and have battled with for years, and they were able to pull out a close game there. I think it really comes down to Lebanon's offense has been clicking really well. They do a good job of mixing up run and pass and kind of keeping teams off balance, and are able to kind of utilize weapons on both of those aspects of their offense when they're needed. The big key for them is with a team like Logansport that can run for nearly 300 yards a game, they're going to have to get stops. If Logansport goes on some of those long drives where they're just on the field for 10 to 15 plays and kind of keeps the Lebanon offense off the field, that's not going to be the kind of game that Lebanon wants. They're going to have to get stops. They're going to have to really kind of focus on the key there and then kind of get their offense on the field and let them make plays.
Logansport, do they like to get a lot of their gains between the tackles, or do they like to get wide?
I haven't really studied them that much to kind of know about Logansport. I was looking at the stats today where they have 4 guys who have rushed for over 400 yards, 2 over 600 yards. They do, from what I've been able to hear from Lebanon coaches, they do kind of a lot of misdirection, quick kind of hitter things, kind of counter action to try to do things. And then they said their offensive line is pretty good as well. They have good size. So I think Lebanon they're going to have to be really aware of just that there's several different weapons in the rushing game that Logansport can utilize, and you can't just key on one of their running backs because they got multiple guys that can hurt you.
Of course, the best defense sometimes is just controlling the ball offensively yourself.
Right. And I think that's what Logansport does a pretty good job of. when you can, looking at their stats today, I think their quarterback's only thrown about 110 passes on the entire year, about like 10, 11 a game. So they're just pounding the ball with the running game. One thing that I think could help Lebanon too is they've had a knack for forcing fumbles and kind of making big plays defensively. Statistically, it looks like Logansport's fumbled 20 times this year in 11 games, which will happen when you run the ball a lot. But if Lebanon can get a couple of turnovers, maybe get some short fields, I think that if they can get into a game where they can get up a few points early and force Logansport out of their comfort zone where they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit, that would be very advantageous for Lebanon.
So it's been, a long, long time since Lebanon won a sectional championship.
97.
Okay, I was thinking 92.
When they had Craig Terrell on the team, who went on to go star at Purdue and with the Seattle Seahawks. So these guys, they've been close. They really haven't had much postseason success as a program even since 97. They've, for a long time, were in that sectional with either Roncalli or Cathedral or Bishop Chatard when they bumped up. So this will actually only be Lebanon's fourth appearance in a sectional title game since 1997. And they've lost, obviously, the previous three. So, yeah, they're hoping for good things. They have a team that they believe can get it done. But they also know that they're going to have to play their game and execute because it's not going to be easy come Friday night.
Will Willems of the Lebanon Reporter, tell everybody how they can find your work.
Yeah, we're at reporter.net is our website. We'll have put up just some kind of stat kind of breakdowns of the game today, and we'll have a feature coming up within the next couple of days on running back Josh Parks from Lebanon, who's really done a fantastic job this year. I'm also on X at Will_Willems, and we'll be updating from Logansport on Friday night with hopefully for the Tigers what is a victorious night.
All right, Michelle, we heard from Will Willems about the Sectional 20 championship game between the Lebanon Tigers and the Logansport Berries. Should be a very good one for whichever one of these teams wins. It'll be a big, big deal. Michelle, Lebanon at Logansport, who are you taking to win that one?
I'm taking Lebanon. They've played the schedule, a tougher schedule. I know Logansport's part of the Hoosier Conference, but the Hoosier Conference has some good teams, but kind of overall not maybe as strong. West Lafayette was down this year. So I think Lebanon has been tested. They've got a really good quarterback and players around him, the Lebanon Tigers.
Logansport, by the way, has a ton of really good players. A lot of them are younger. That's a program seriously on the rise. They're going to win their championships, I believe, but I don't think it's going to be this year. You mentioned Lebanon's quarterback Chris Hill, move in from Chatard, has made a huge difference at Lebanon. And the first time since 1997, I believe, as well, that the Lebanon Tigers are going to be your Sectional 20 champions. Thank you so much for your time, Michelle, and thank you for listening. Please share this podcast with a high school football fan in your life, and go check out one of our other sectional previews. We did 8 of them this week. And also, Michelle and I picked all the sectional championship games in Central Indiana. You can go find that one too. We're all over the place. We're easy to find. Thanks so much for your time. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.